Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. It is July 19, 2010. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight, Truth Brigade, on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. I hope you had a lovely weekend, but we have an even better week in store for you tonight, or this week. We are going to be kicking it off tonight with Dr. David Stewart, and he is, author of 17 books now, and literally hundreds of published works and papers. He is a natural doctor. He is also certified, a registered aromatherapist with the Aromatherapy Registration Council. He's also teaches the CARE, CARE, which is the Center for Aromatherapy Research and Education, which you can find at raindroptraining.com. We are going to talk about one of my favorite subjects tonight, and that is essential oils. One of his books is The Chemistry of Essential Oils Made Simple, which we'll be focusing on tonight. And this book, whether you have a background in chemistry or not, he will make sure that you will understand and enjoy it. He explains the chemistry of essential oils and that God's power and divine nature can be seen through the things he has made. It is based on both science and scripture. Excellent book, and I mean, really, you can't go wrong with any of them. If you have not heard him before, he has been on the show. You can go check out the archives at AmericanFreedomRadio.com or in our calendar in the forum over at TruthBrigade.org. And Dr. Stewart is literally, I think he's been in like 10 countries in the last 10 months, literally lecturing and teaching all over the world. And he has a very busy calendar, so I'm so glad he's able to fit us in here tonight at Truth Brigade Radio. But if you go to raindroptraining.com, you can see where he's teaching all over. So maybe there's one near you. I'm looking quickly here. There's Colorado, Virginia, New York, Michigan, Missouri, Texas, Oregon, etc. So just check it out at raindroptraining.com. I'll be posting these links and many others in the text chat tonight over at truthbrigade.com. And if you have any questions for Dr. Stewart tonight, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. We are the essential oils are just such a, there we go. I hear the music, and this is good news. Off to a good start. Made it a whole segment without getting cut off. That's good news. Way to start Monday. We will be right back with Dr. David Stewart here on Truth Brigade Radio. Welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight, Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. If you would like to join us for the text chat tonight, that's over at truthbrigade.com. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. Our special guest tonight, Dr. David Stewart. He's a registered aromatherapist and doctor of natural medicine. He's also the author of over 300 published works, and I think it is 17 books now. The website is raindroptraining.com. He literally teaches and lectures all throughout the country and the world, for that matter. So good to have you here tonight, Dr. Stewart, spending some time with us tonight. How you doing tonight?
Doing good, thank you.
Wonderful. You have got a busy schedule. Didn't you just get back in town from overseas?
Yeah, I was in Japan. Got in less than a week ago.
Wow. Okay, and you're teaching in Japan, too?
Yeah, I was. That's where I was at.
Amazing. My good, you have a busy schedule, and as I mentioned on the intro, that's raindroptraining.com, and just click on calendar, but I'll be posting that here in the text chat so you could see as well. And, okay, so traveling around the world, 17 books, all these papers, everything you do, and you still had time to put out a new book last month, Healing, God's Forgotten Gift. Can you tell us or give us a little synopsis about what we're going to get in that book?
Yeah, I would be happy to. It's kind of an extension and a sequel to my book, The Healing Oils of the Bible.
Okay.
That book, The Healing Oils of the Bible, documents the scriptural basis of using essential oils, but it doesn't give you the details of how Jesus and his disciples actually used those oils for healing purposes. This new book, Healing, God's Forgotten Gift, fills in all of that so that you can actually go and do what Jesus' disciples did.
Okay, wonderful. So it's kind of a sequel to the Healing Oils of the Bible, then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
All right. And your books, these are text for your training, your certification classes, right?
Yeah, they're all used in our trainings. We have a program where we teach the scriptural oils along with the chemistry and science of the oils, and then accompany that with techniques of Vitaflex and Raindrop, and then some training in emotional releasing using the oils.
Okay. Now, you talked a little bit about, oh my gosh, it just skipped my mind. The care training, or the oils. There were like 7 oils, I believe.
Yeah, that's used in Raindrop technique.
Raindrop. There we go. All right. Okay, well, if you missed that, then you'll have to go back to the archives. And it's entitled Healing Oils of the Bible with Dr. David Stewart over at AmericanFreedomRadio.com, or the calendar at TruthBrigade.org. But tonight we are going to talk about the chemistry of essential oils made simple. And we like it that way, Dr. Stewart.
We'll try our best to keep it that way.
All right. Well, everyone knows that essential oils, whether you know anything about them or not, or know that it's the source and the essence of the plant and how it works in your brain and your limbic system, etc., you still know that they're just lovely. They just smell nice. And, whether you know the medicinal properties or not, I think people you just like them. There's something for everyone. And I think that's usually how we come across essential oils, that we just, maybe at a fair or a store, and, oh, that smells good, and we take it home because it smells good, and then we realize, oh my gosh, I can, heal my burns or pneumonia or whatever with these oils. So what is it about these lovely little essences that just make it so magical?
Well, that's a wonderful question, and this probably doesn't have a short answer, but because whole books are written on that.
We have 2 hours.
Okay.
Take your time.
But these are very special creations. They're unlike anything that's made synthetically or manufactured in a chem lab, because these are actually God's creations, and whenever they were created, which was when the plants were created, and God spoke things into existence, and when God said, "Let there be plants," that's when the oils became real, and just like the plants were imbued with God's Word, so were the oils. And so we find that these oils, which are delightful because they smell very nice, but they also have the ability to penetrate through all of your body's tissues, even going into and out of cells, and to treat our problems at the level of the DNA. And the oils have intelligence that's not present in any manufactured drug or medicine. For example, the same oil, like lavender, can energize you if that's what you need, or it can relax you and help you go to sleep if that's what you need. It can work both ways. There are oils like cypress, which will thin your blood if that's what you need, but if you don't, it can thicken your blood. And then we have many, many oils that are very effective against bacteria and viruses.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's an antibiotic, which is manufactured synthetically, It will kill all of the bacteria in your body, along with the bad guys, also the good guys. And our body is full of friendly bacteria that we need to assimilate and metabolize our food. Mm-hmm. So the essential oils don't do that. They will kill off the bad guys and nurture the good guys. They know the difference. So over and over again. That's a little
different than the antibiotics we're getting from the pharmacist.
Oh, yeah. And that's that additional intelligence that seems to be built into these oils, where they seem to know what our body needs and do those things, and then they leave the rest of the body alone so they don't have side effects. That puts them apart from all pharmaceutical drugs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's just so gentle and subtle. And, I mean, how do you like that? No side effects, including death, right?
That's right, including death. That's a biggie.
I mean, it blows my mind on all the TV commercials and side effects, including death. And we all run to the doctor for it.
I know. We pay money for those things.
Yes, and pay for it on top of it. Oh, goodness. Now, the plant products, I mean, since we're talking about drugs here, all of these, well, maybe not all of them anymore, but initially they derived from plants.
Well, that's where the pharmaceutical companies get their ideas, but they can't market a plant product because it's natural and nobody can patent or copyright a natural product. So they'll find a natural product, and then they'll find the compounds that seem to be the therapeutic agents, and then they play with those molecules to modify them just enough that they still have many of the properties of the natural plant, but they're different than any molecule that ever occurred on planet Earth, so they can patent it. So and then because of that, then the body gets these molecules, which are very similar to the natural molecules, but not quite. The body recognizes that and says, hey, wait a minute, we don't know what these molecules are. We never seen them before, or they don't fit anything that we understand. And the body, God didn't make our bodies to handle these unnatural molecules, so therefore they always, 100%, have side effects. Whereas the natural molecules, your body says, hey, we know what to do this. They use it, and then they eliminate it when they're finished, and that's it. No side effects.
Quick and effective, and boom, gets the job done.
Yeah. So drug companies are not into natural products, but they thoroughly research them to try to find effective medications, which they then modify enough to put a patent on, knowing that they're inferior to the natural product, but they can patent it.
It's just so strange to me that, abundant Mother Nature, I mean, all of this around us, and we've totally forgotten about it and just run to a pharmacy for these synthetics. I mean, I don't know. It's just hard for me to believe that we put our faith, I guess, in these synthetics when, I mean, hello, God created us. I would tend to put my faith in God when it comes to treating our perfect bodies that He designed.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. That's certainly what I think.
Along with the plants and such. So what is it exactly about the oils that, I mean, okay, first of all, they're so versatile. We can use them topically or inhalation or internally, etc. What is it about them? I mean, can we use the same oils, all those different methods, and what's exactly going on in our body or our brain?
Well, essential oils are more than chemistry. They have energetic and vibrational qualities that are not measured by chemical equipment. And they're described in terms of their frequencies and harmonics and phases and amplitudes and things like that. And so when an essential oil gets into your body, we know that certain oils will administer to your muscles, others administer to your bones and joints, others are good for the thyroid, others for the liver, others for digestion. And the reason why these oils are selectively beneficial to different systems is because they have frequencies and vibrations that resonate with those body systems. So whenever you get basil oil on you, it resonates with your muscles, and that's where they will administrate their benefits. Or if you get myrtle oil, it resonates with the thyroid gland, and so those molecules will head for the thyroid and help the thyroid out. So they're not just wandering around aimlessly in your body. They have a purpose, and they harmonically broadcast that in terms of frequencies, and they will gravitate to those parts of the body that they harmonize with.
Okay, so is it kind of like vegetables, for instance? Like, say, you can go by the shapes or the colors of the vegetables, and that kind of resonates or helps keep healthy the part of your body that looks like it. For instance, say a kidney bean is good for your kidneys. Is it kind of the same with oils?
Well, not exactly. You're talking about the similarities of physical shape. Like bean-shaped plants would be for your kidneys, and brain-looking things are for the brain. This is not a visual thing. This is an actual high-energy frequency thing. They're vibrating. And they send out these high-frequency tones that it's beyond human hearing, and they resonate with the frequencies being emitted by various organs of the body. It's
so our body, I guess, is generally between 62 and 68 megahertz or so?
Well, you're talking about the body as a whole.
The vibration,
Yeah, each organ has its own system of vibrations, which are different, higher and lower than that. The body is more like a symphony orchestra with many, many frequencies. But they harmonize and make beautiful music when we're healthy. When we're not, then we have dissonance. And the oils have their own harmonies, which can restore the resonance of our body and bring us back to health. So it's a higher type of medicine than the chemistry of pharmaceutical drugs.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there's a lot that science still can't explain. I mean, when you're dealing with God's source here. Okay, so, if a normal, our healthy body has been measured, around 62 to 68, or maybe a little bit lower or higher, depending on what happens when you inhale, say, some rose oil. So I believe that's been measured at about 320 megahertz?
Well, that elevates all of the vibrations in your body and puts you more in contact with our energy field. Most people don't realize that what you see with your physical eyes is certainly not what we are, or all of us. It's just a physical body that is a reflection of an electromagnetic field that surrounds all of us. Each one of us has an energetic field, and that's what our physical body is a manifestation of that, so that our sicknesses actually begin in our mind, and then from there to our energy bodies, and then from there physically. So there's a few steps before a disease actually manifests physically, and you can start healing your diseases on those higher levels, which physical medicine, what medical doctors do, doesn't even acknowledge that and doesn't do anything to treat that. But the oils do. They work on our energetic fields as well as our physical bodies.
So the entire body, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, when it comes to these oils, can you ever get too much? Is there such a thing as overdosing on rose oil?
Well, if you can afford it. It costs,
That's a lot of inhaling there.
Yeah, it sure is.
So probably not. There's zero side effects with oils. What about allergies? Has anyone experienced allergies to your knowledge?
Well, as far as an essential oil is concerned, a true essential oil has been received by distillation. It's a heat process. The oils are extracted from the plant by going above the boiling point. The oils are vaporized, mixed with the steam, and then they condensed, and then the water and the oil separate because oil doesn't mix with water. Because of that process, the compounds that would result in allergies are just not there. In order to have an allergy, that is a reaction to either a protein, a peptide, or an amino acid. Amino acids are molecules that build peptides, and peptides are bigger molecules that make proteins, and proteins are pretty big molecules. That's where your allergies come from, and there are no proteins, peptides, or amino acids in the oil, so therefore allergies are not even possible.
Okay, excellent. Hold that right there, Dr. Stewart. It's that time, but we will be right back. Dr. David Stewart, raindroptraining.com is the website. Stay tuned. Truth Brigade Radio. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Dr. David Stewart. He is the author of 17 books, which you can find at raindroptraining.com. His latest book, Healing, God's Forgotten Gift, just came out last month. And tonight, of course, we're talking about the chemistry of essential oils, made simple just for us here tonight, Truth Brigade Radio. If you have any questions or comments, the phone number is 402-237-2525, and if you'd like to join us on the chat, that's over at truthbrigade.com. Dr. Stewart, I'd love for you to continue on the protein stuff, but we have a caller on the line.
Okay.
So area code 409, welcome to the show.
Hello, how are y'all?
Good, thank you.
Oh, great, thank you. Thanks for calling. How you doing tonight?
Okay, I'm pretty good. But I had a question for the doctor. I went to the health food store today and I picked up something called thyroid complex that's supposed to be for the thyroid gland. It's a supplement because I'm dealing with thyroid problems. So I just want to get his comment, get his thoughts on that. It's got the iodine from kelp. It's got raw bovine thyroid, raw porcine adrenal concentrate, raw bovine pituitary concentrate, and raw porcine or porcine spleen concentrate. I just want to get his comment on that. Does that, sound like a good supplement for the thyroid?
Well, I'm not an authority on supplements, and I've never heard of that one. I do know that there are supplements out there that can be very good for restoring correct function of your thyroid gland. But I'm not familiar with that one, so I really can't comment on it.
Dr. Stewart, maybe you can recommend some essential oils that will help do the same thing he's trying to accomplish.
Well, there are oils that will address thyroid problems. One of them is Myrtle oil, and also myrrh oil, which you can simply rub either or both of those oils on your throat. These oils penetrate the skin and go right to the organs where they can do their work.
So that's myrtle and myrrh.
And myrrh, yeah. I know a lady who had cancer of the thyroid. This was some years ago, and it was surgically removed. And she is now close to 90 years old, looks like in perfect health. Doesn't even have a thyroid. Wow. By using these oils, her body provides what she needs in the absence of the actual organ.
Oh, so can it be purchased at the health food store?
No, these are only available through a company named Young Living, which sells their products by way of multi-level marketing. And they also have a product called Thyromin, which is, I don't know what all is in it, but it's an herbal supplement that I know personally people have gotten very good results with that for restoring good thyroid function.
Right. Well, I'm going to see if I can get a hold of that, and I'm going to try it and see if it works.
Okay. Well, I know people that it does work for, but I'm not familiar with the brands or the things you had mentioned there.
Okay. Well, I just want to get your comment.
All right. Well, thanks so much for calling. Thanks for your question.
Hey, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Good night. Well, I definitely know Mir works. In fact, I'm inhaling some right now. I love, break times are so cool because I just like to get my little inhale, and I actually mixed it with some frankincense and sandalwood and some jasmine and some rose, and it's just a little bit of orange, and it's just a quick, well, you know what's so wonderful about it? It can be a pick-me-up, or a relaxant, a calmative, or, I have a little bottle I keep with me when I'm driving and, someone cuts you off or whatever, instead of, cussing and, throwing words and stuff, I just reach for the bottle.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Absolutely. They're just so calming and just so beautiful and delicate. And, oh, goodness, you can't go wrong. Okay, so before the break, you were talking about the breakdown and the proteins and the molecules being so large, and of course that the oils are so small, they're transdermal, they can penetrate every layer of skin and such. Can you please continue?
Yeah, in order to have an allergy, you have to have proteins, or at least polypeptides that build proteins. And none of those exist in a distilled oil. Now, some oils are not distilled, like the citrus oils, orange and grapefruit. Those are cold pressed from the rind. They do contain traces of protein, and you could be allergic to one of those oils. And oils that are extracted by solvents, like jasmine and orange blossom oil, those are too subtle to withstand the heat of distillation, so those are extracted by chemicals, and they will have traces of protein in them. And then the oils that we eat, the vegetable oils, also used for carriers and mixing with essential oils like walnut oil and almond oil and olive oil, those are cold pressed, and they do have traces of protein in them. So you could be allergic to those oils, but not to essential oils.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, they're totally different. The essential oils, they're called oils, but they're not oily like oils.
No, they don't have a greasy feel to them. That's because the molecular size is of a different shape and size. And the oil, the greasy molecules that we feel in peanut oil or something like that are very long molecules. And they slide over one another, and they give you that slick feeling. But the essential oils are mostly composed of circles, hexagons, and pentagons, and various shapes of carbon-based molecules that are small in size, and they don't slip and slide like that.
Okay, yeah, not greasy or anything. Now, what is the common method of turning these beautiful plants and flowers into essential oils?
Well, the common way is to gather them up at the right time when they're at their maximum of oil content, and put them in a large stainless steel cooker, they call it. It can be anywhere from 18 inches in diameter up to 5 or 6 feet in diameter, and they fill up the cooker with the plant matter, which can be either the leaves or the stems or the flowers or the part of the plant containing the oil. And they pack that, and then they put a lid on it and trickle steam from the bottom up to go through the plant matter, and then the steam picks up the oil in a vapor form and mixed with the steam, and goes out the top and then over into a cooling chamber where the steam condenses back as solid water or liquid water, and the oil floats to the top, and then they skim off the oil. That's how they get them. And the key there is you don't want to use real high temperatures. You could use a high-pressure cooker and bump the temperature up to 300 or 400 degrees and put high pressure of several atmospheres, and in just a few minutes you can cook out the oil that's there, and that saves you a lot of time and money, and that's what companies often do who want to just produce an oil to sell, not one to heal. But if you want a healing oil, you have to try to preserve all of the constituents that were there in the plant in the field, and this requires gently coaxing the oil out of the plant over a period of time. Sometimes it takes maybe 18 hours of gently cooking those plants to get all of the compounds of the oil to come through, and then you have a healing oil. Otherwise, you may have an oil that smells okay and it'll be good for a perfume or a flavor, but it doesn't have any healing properties. And 90% of the oils of the world are like that. They're flavor and fragrance grade. They're not therapeutic healing grade.
So when you are getting oils for healing, you want to make sure that you're getting the therapeutic grade.
Yeah, you want to buy from a company whose intent is to produce a healing oil. And 90% of companies, their intent is to produce an oil that has a fragrance or a taste, which is what most people don't have the knowledge to know that they wouldn't heal you, but they do. They smell okay.
Yeah, they smell good, but our brain knows the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, they just don't have the chemistry or the qualities.
Now, let me ask you about the oils that are made just for flavor. I know there's a lot of synthetics and stuff being added. Is there long-term damage inhaling these synthetic oils?
Well, there again, it may depend upon quantity, how much you inhale, and for how long. I would like to think that they're just relatively harmless, but not particularly helpful. The therapeutic oils, of course, can heal you and keep you well. And personally, you really don't know what you're getting when you have a synthetic oil. It's,
I mean, we could just be inhaling bleach, I guess.
yeah, I'd say it's better than that.
I'm sure that will be productive. Okay. All right. Now, you mentioned anointing earlier, and we talked about it a little bit in the last show about your book, The Healing Oils of the Bible, and, of course, your latest one. And in the last show, you shared with us a story where I believe there was a pastor of your church who ended up with pneumonia and such. Can you share that story with us again, please?
Yeah, that's a great story. I was first published my book, Healing Oils of the Bible, back in 1973. And that year we got a new pastor assigned to our church, and so we didn't know him, and he didn't know me. But a few months after he came, I visited his office and gave him a copy of my book. I didn't know that if he would read it or not, but he took the book kindly and didn't ever mention it. But several months later, his wife came to choir practice on a Wednesday night saying that her husband had come down with double pneumonia the Sunday night, 3 days earlier. He was coughing up blood, couldn't sleep, couldn't eat anything, couldn't drink anything. The emergency room that night, when they first got the pneumonia, just gave him cough medicine, an antibiotic, and some sleeping pills, but told him that they couldn't do anything to stop the bleeding in his lungs, that hopefully that just would go away. So here we were 3 days later, and she said the bleeding is still there, and this thing's getting worse, and we don't know what to do, because the first time we went to the hospital, they didn't give us anything that worked, so what do we do now? So I was thinking that this would be a natural situation for oils to address. And I didn't say anything to the preacher's wife right then, because everybody in our church knows my wife and I do oils. But one of the ladies in the back pew in the soprano section spoke up, and she said, Marty, she said, you should talk to David and Lee, because they got oils I'm sure will help your husband. And then she told a story about her mother, who the year before had walking pneumonia, and she'd been back to the doctor again and again over a 3 or 4 month period, spending a lot of money and taking a lot of drugs with no benefit. So this lady in the back pew, she said, I went over to my mom's house and told her, I'm tired of you complaining about your double pneumonia or about your walking pneumonia. And so I brought over some oils, and I'm going to throw all your medicines away, and we're going to do oils. So her mother, who had been resistant to the idea of oils, was receptive by that time because nothing had worked. So she gave her mother a blend of oils that's mainly various species of eucalyptus, but also myrtle. and pine, and told her to rub it on her chest, and she showed her dad how to rub it over her mother's back on the lung area back there. And then she put some of this oil in a diffuser and asked her mother, just sit close here and breathe it. The next day her mother called and said, I don't have pneumonia anymore. So after 3 or 4 months of medical care and no results, she was cured in 1 day. So I thought that was a great story, and I was hoping that the pastor's wife would be interested in that, but she didn't express any interest. So after choir practice, or do we have a break coming up here?
Yeah, hold that right there, will you, Dr. Stewart? Stay tuned, everyone. We're going to be right back after this short break. Dr. David Stewart on Truth Brigade Radio. Welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Dr. David Stewart. We are talking about the chemistry of essential oils made simple. He is the author of a book by the same title. You can find at raindroptraining.com. If you would, Dr. Stewart, please continue with your story.
Okay, well, so here we are. We were at choir practice. The preacher's wife was there, and her husband's got a double pneumonia and coughing up blood. So at the end of choir practice, I just casually said to her, I said, you know, Marty, that I gave your husband a book about oils. And she said, yeah, I know. She says, I don't think he's read it. And I said, well, Marty, these oils really do work. And I stopped right there. That's all I said. And she went on home, and I did too. Late that night, it was after 10 o'clock, we got a phone call, and it was Marty. And she said, my husband says bring over the oils. And so I said, okay, I can do that. She said, he's sleeping right now and he really needs his rest. Can you come in the morning at 7 because I have to teach school and leave at 8? And I said, sure, I can come over. So I hung up the phone and didn't have a clue what oils I would bring or what I would do, but I wasn't worried because I just said a little prayer before I went to bed. I said, God, I'm supposed to go over to the preacher's house tomorrow. He's got pneumonia. Please tell me what oils to bring and how to use them. And then I went to sleep. I didn't wait for an answer then because I knew in the morning when I wake up, I'm in a very calm state. I'm not asleep, but I'm not awake. I'm not totally awake, but I'm not asleep either. And in that real calm state, God's voice can come right through without any interference. So the next morning I woke up waiting for God's answer. And I got it. It was bring frankincense, bring hyssop oil, and bring a blend called Exodus oil, which has the holy anointing oils in it from the Bible. So those 3 oils, frankincense, hyssop, and Exodus oil. So I thought, okay, those are the right oils. So I put them in a box, and I put a diffuser in there. And actually, that oil that the lady had used on her mother with the eucalyptus in it, I snuck in a bottle of that. I didn't let God see me do that because he hadn't said to me.
He might have seen, but I'm sure you're forgiven.
But I just want to be sure. So I wrote...
Jesse here tonight. That's great. Okay.
So I had everything in a box, and I was sure I had the right oils, but as I was driving over, I didn't know what I was going to do with them. God hadn't told me about that part yet. But I didn't worry. I just went on over there. When I got there, poor preacher he looked half dead. He was sprawled out in the bed in a half-conscious, semi-conscious state, and his color was awful. But as soon as I saw him, I knew what to do, so I put a diffuser in the window by his bed, put some hyssop oil in it, turned it on. Me and his wife kind of drug him around, pushed him over by the window, put a pillow under his head. And I said, here, breathe. Then I went to his feet, and there's some reflex points on your feet that correspond to your lungs. And so I rubbed and anointed his feet with hyssop oil and gave him a good foot massage, and then I turned him over on his tummy and rubbed his back with the hyssop oil over the lung area, and then I turned him over and and gave him a good chest massage and rubbed the hyssop oil in there. And I told him, I said, "Preacher, I'm anointing you just the way the Bible priest did in the Old Testament." And then I went to his head, poured frankincense on it, gave him a good head massage. And I said, "Preacher, I'm anointing you the way that Moses anointed Aaron in the Bible." And then he was getting kind of awakened by that time. His color had changed. He wasn't sick-looking yellow anymore. He was turning pink, and he said, "Well, I'm already feeling better." And I said, "Well, good, open your mouth." And then I poured in some of that Exodus oil, and I said, "Here, swallow this. This oil stopped the plague in the Bible, and it will stop your pneumonia." And then I stepped back. I was finished. That was the only directions I felt. And in a few minutes, he asked for some Kleenex tissues, and he began coughing. And he looked at the tissue, and he said, "Look, no blood." The hemorrhaging in his lungs had already stopped. So I said, "Well, good, you dress, and I'll come back this afternoon and check on you." So I went home. Came back about 3 in the afternoon, and they said they'd leave the door unlocked, so I just walked in, and there he was sitting on his bed with his bathrobe and slippers. He was holding my book, and he said, "This is a pretty interesting book." It's probably the first time he'd even picked it up. And then he had a glass of orange juice, and he said, "This is the first thing I've been able to keep down since Sunday." And he said, "I'm not completely well, but I'm a whole lot better." And I said, "Well, let me anoint you again." So I put more hyssop oil in his diffuser, gave him another anointing on his feet, and then on his shoulder, on his chest, and his back. And I gave him some more of the Exodus oil to swallow. And then I poured the rest of the frankincense I had on his head and rubbed it in, and I said, "Well, I don't have any more frankincense oil, but you can still smell it in the bottle." And he said, "Well, let me have that." And he grabbed the bottle and put it up to his nose and laid back on his pillow, and right away he started going to sleep.
Oh, okay, it's that time again. Dr. Stewart, please hold that right there. We will be right back after this short break. In the meantime, raindroptraining.com, and check out his schedule. He's literally teaching all over the country and beyond. Raindroptraining.com. We will be right back. Truth Brigade Radio. All right, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Top of the second hour tonight with our special guest, Dr. David Stewart, The Chemistry of Essential Oils Made Simple. Dr. Stewart, we have a real short segment here, so if you would please continue. So he has one application, and he's already coughing and being able to ingest substances and feeling better, and then what?
Well, then I anointed him again that afternoon, and he went to sleep, and I went home. Next morning, I made a surprise visit. I didn't call first. I just dropped over at his house about 9 in the morning. He comes to the door fully dressed with his shoes on, carrying some notes in his hand, and invites me in, and he says, "Guess what? I am completely healed. I don't have pneumonia anymore." And
wow.
He said,
just like that.
Yeah, that was on a Friday.
Sick all that time, and then you're with them for what, an hour?
Yeah, not even that long. Just 2 times I went over to his house. And he said, "Here's my notes for my sermon." He said, "I didn't think I was going to make it to church Sunday, but I'm going to be there." So that Sunday, he tells our whole church congregation about his miraculous healing and the anointing with oils. And you would think from that many people in our church would be curious and would be asking my wife and I what we did and how these oils work and all. But there wasn't even one person in our whole church that expressed any interest. And then I was reminded of Jesus when he went back to his hometown and he was not accepted. And it just turns out that people that know you as just a plain person, as one of the good guys in town, won't see you in any other role, so you don't really have credibility among your friends and relatives. And so Jesus' solution to that was he left town and went somewhere else.
and so I guess you packed up and left shortly after that?
Well, I haven't done any programs in my hometown, but I do them all over the world, literally.
I mean, so no thank you, Dr. Stewart, or no, hey, we're using anointing oils from the Bible. No talk about that. Just went back to business, and that was it.
That's right. They're not a bit interested.
Amazing. Oh, my gosh. That's funny. There was a comment in the chat a while back. It's funny how they'll run away from the frankincense and myrrh, but will gladly accept the gold.
Yeah, that sums it up.
Oh, wow. What a darn shame. Oh, goodness. Okay, so you just use frankincense and hyssop. And then you said you brought a blend with the holy anointing oils from the Bible. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us specifically what's in that blend?
Yeah, it contained cinnamon, cassia, which is another cinnamon-type plant, calamus, which is a very antiseptic type plant, and frankincense. And then there was also, I think, some spikenard and a couple of other oils in there from the Bible.
Okay. All right. Okay. Excellent. That's just, what a wonderful story, except I don't really like the ending so much. You would just think, especially in a setting like that and what you're teaching and what you're doing, why are we so afraid of God and His healing capabilities? It just, doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it is amazing. Another thing about that story. We have an ad.
It's that time. So hold that right there, Dr. Stewart. We will be right back with a much longer segment here. Dr. David Stewart, RaindropTraining.com. Be right back. Truth Brigade Radio. For joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. If you would like to join us for the text chat tonight, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. Our special guest tonight, Dr. David Stewart. My goodness, he's published over 300 works, 17 books, of which you can find at RaindropTraining.com. He's a registered aromatherapist and was also certified as a childbirth educator with the American Academy of Husband Coach Childbirth, and is also a doctor of natural medicine. We are talking about one of his latest books tonight, The Chemistry of Essential Oils Made Simple. You know what? You still had one more thing to tell us or to share with us about that story, so if you would continue. Yeah,
well, it's interesting to study Jesus' life, because when you do, you realize that he never went out of his way to heal people. They had to come to him, or they had to send a messenger, or if they were lame, they had their friends carry them. Mm-hmm. In other words, the initiative was always on the part of the person to be healed. Jesus didn't, call out to people to heal them. They had to come. And in the book of James, it's an interesting little quote back there. It says, "If there be any sick among you, let them call the elders, that they may pray, lay on their hands, and anoint with oil, so you can be healed." The verse doesn't say for the elders of the church to go out looking for sick people to heal. It says for the sick people to find the elders and ask for the healing. Yeah. So whenever I heard about my pastor having pneumonia that night at choir practice, I realized that I could just tell the pastor's wife, "Hey, listen, I'll be over in 20 minutes, and I'll bring some oils, and we'll see what we can do." But I didn't do that because I knew about Jesus' teachings, because he said that if people won't listen to you, then shake the dust off of your feet as a testimony against them. In other words, don't bother with unreceptive people, just go somewhere else. So knowing that, I didn't offer to voluntarily come over to the pastor's house. I was waiting for him to ask, because without that, I knew that it would be a waste of my time and he could not be healed. But when he had his wife call me and say, "Come on over and bring the oils," I knew then that he was a candidate to be healed, and he was.
Let me ask you this, though. Did he read your book after that?
Yes, he did, and he carries frankincense oil with him everywhere he goes now.
Oh, good. Okay, so he did at least get something out of it.
Yeah, yep.
Excellent. But he's still not sharing it with the congregation?
Yeah, he even does anointings in church from time to time.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. Well, getting back to, I guess, the chemistry aspect and, like, why it works, let's talk about aromatherapy, of course, when you inhale it, and I guess that directly affects your limbic system with your amygdala and your hypothalamus. I guess basically the emotional switchboard of the brain. I guess is that why it works so quick? Because our sense of smell being directly attached to the limbic lobe.
Well, that's certainly one of the very important reasons that the oils work so well, and one reason why they work when other medicines won't. Mm-hmm. Most of our sicknesses have emotional or spiritual roots, and if you don't deal with those, no physical medicine is going to help you. Mm-hmm. Or you might be able to alleviate the symptoms, but the sickness is still there, and it'll just manifest in another way. But because oils go directly to the limbic brain, you see, our five senses are not all the same. Four of our senses are seeing, hearing, tasting, and feeling are hardwired to the frontal lobes of the brain, which is our conscious, rational mind. Mm-hmm. But the nose is not wired there. It goes under that part of the brain to a piece of the brain that's under the cerebrum, but over the roof of the mouth, which is our emotional brain, and which doesn't understand words, that part of the brain, but it understands fragrances. And that's the part of the brain that catalogs all of our memories of traumatic experiences and emotional issues that we have left unresolved, and our bitterness and our unforgiveness and things like that. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, when we have a traumatic or unpleasant experience, we will forget that consciously. It's lost to our conscious mind, but it's not lost to our subconscious, and our emotional brain keeps an emotional record of that. And if we harbor negative feelings long enough, they'll make us sick and eventually will result in some disease. And if you can get to those feelings that initiated the disease in the first place, which could be cancer, diabetes, arthritis, cardiovascular, or even things like that, if you can get to the emotional roots, you can the disease will go away. And I've seen that happen. And so the oils help us to get to those roots, and that's one of their amazing secrets. No other medicine will do that. There's no pharmaceutical drug that'll do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you mentioned kind of our emotions and negativity and such, how that can impact or lead to disease. We were talking about the energy or the frequencies in the last hour. I guess negative thoughts can lower, not only your body's energy frequency, but also that of the oils themselves.
Well, the oils do pick up our frequencies, and that's another one of the amazing properties of the oils is they will resonate with your thoughts. So if you pray with an oil, its frequencies are measurably higher, and they will have more healing power than if you don't pray. So they work hand in glove with prayer. And this is all scientifically explainable through quantum physics, which is where the mind and matter connect. That's the phase of physics where the scientist is part of the experiment. You can't escape that. And that explains how the oils and the prayer work together so well.
Okay, we talked about, I think, Cedar Wood Oil last time. You said it's a favorite for teachers and instructors, or maybe students that have a hard time remembering things or just don't like sitting in that classroom. What is it about Cedar Wood Oil that elicits those responses?
Well, that's an amazing thing. Cedar Wood Oil has the ability to help us think clearly, just to breathe it. And if you want to learn a hard subject or a new subject, just diffuse some Cedar Wood Oil while you're studying it. And then if you were to take a cotton swab or something with a cedar wood oil on it so you could smell it while you're taking an exam, you'll make a much higher score than you would have otherwise. The cedar wood oil will help keep your mind sharp, and you can have a much greater recall. Mm-hmm. Now, King Solomon, who we generally regard as the wisest of kings, built his palace and his temple both out of cedar wood, and it was built in such a way that 24 hours a day, all the year round, you were smelling that cedar wood and the oil that comes from the wood. And so he created for himself an environment where he could think clearly and make wise decisions. Mm-hmm. Now, another thing I discovered, and this is from the Bible too, in the book of Leviticus, it tells you to apply the cedar wood oil to your to your left thumb. Very specifically. And it says that to do that, now it doesn't explain why, it just says do it. Well, I checked out what that means emotionally and from a reflex point of view, and that's where you would put a cedar wood oil to release issues of blockages to learning. Like, you know, people that can learn English and they can learn history and they can do music and many things, but they have a block against math, let's say, or they have a block against physics or some science class. And this is because somewhere in their childhood they were intimidated or embarrassed in front of others on that subject. Like maybe there was a crabby math teacher and made them feel bad in class in front of the rest of the students. This puts an emotional block in your head, and then you can't learn that subject. Well, by using cedar wood on the left thumb, it's not the right, you can release, you can actually bring to recollection, because you probably forgot about that experience when you were in grade school. And it'll bring it back to your memory, that experience, and then you can release it, and then boom, all of a sudden you're a whiz at math and science.
Wow. So if I start using that on my left thumb, will computers not scare me so much?
Well, it might help you to recall what made them scary for you in the first place.
Okay.
And then I get rid of that fear.
With whatever it was.
But I use that technique in all of my chemistry classes. I have everybody put cedar wood on their left thumb. And I have half a dozen people that had complete blocks against learning chemistry. They were scared to death of the subject, couldn't learn it, couldn't remember a chemistry fact for 5 minutes. And now they teach chemistry. They're completely free of that blockage, which is just an emotional thing. In every case, we would go back to something that happened in their grade school. It was either an intimidating teacher or a father who screamed at them about their grades, or a big brother who was kidding them all the time about something. Any authority figure can do that, and we usually have forgotten what it was. But the oil's going to the limbic brain, pull it right back, and then you deal with it, and then you can do it. It's wonderful. Our public schools need to get onto this.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay. Someone asked in the text chat, is Texas cedar wood oil the same as the cedar wood we're talking about tonight?
Well, there are different species of cedar, and they all kind of smell alike, so their chemistry is not much different one from the other. The cedar of the Bible was Cedrus Leboni, which is from the cedars of Lebanon. The cedar we get today is, the cedars of Lebanon are a protected species. Nobody can touch those trees. They almost became extinct. But Cedrus atlanticus, which is the cedars that grow completely around the Mediterranean Sea, is very close to these cedars of Lebanon, and that's where we get our oil. So I've not smelled any varieties of cedar that didn't smell like cedar. They all have that very similar cedar-type fragrance.
Yeah, I was wondering. In fact, I have a bunch of cedar chips here. Locally, they were cutting down some trees, and it's like, no, can I have some of that? And we just cleaned it, cut them up and little discs, and it's just beautiful to have our own little fresh cedar to smell. And I'll put a drop of cedar wood oil on it and even wear it as a necklace. Hasn't got me past my computer phobias and such, but yet, I guess I got to put it on my left thumb, though, right?
Yeah, the left thumb, because it's the reflex point for your left brain, and that's where the blockage is.
Okay. Okay. All right. That makes sense. So left thumb to work on my left brain. All right. Let me ask you this. Now, cedar wood also, doesn't that help stimulate melatonin production?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's your sleep hormone.
Isn't that interesting that it'll help you, think clearly and stuff, whether you're studying or whatever you're doing, but will also help relax you?
Yeah, that's the paradox of the oils. They work in both directions depending on your needs. They can help put you to sleep or keep you alert. The same oil.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
I mean, that's only God can do that.
Yeah, truly.
Are there any pharmaceuticals that mimic anything like that?
I'm not aware of any. Pharmaceuticals usually go in one direction, whether you need it or not.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. Now, gosh, getting back to the brain and such, the limbic, okay, so I guess being that scent is the only sense directly connected to the limbic system, I guess that's why it works so quickly. Now, inhalation, though, isn't the only method, so what other methods can we use to apply these oils?
Well, for one thing, inhalation does more than go directly to the brain. It gets through the lungs, it gets into the bloodstream, so the oils actually reach every organ in your body just by breathing them.
Okay.
But you can also put them on your skin because they will penetrate the skin and go right through it. And then from that point, they can follow the nerve pathways or the circulatory or the lymphatic system and go anywhere in the body. You can put peppermint oil on the soles of your feet. And then just wait a few minutes and you'll taste it on your tongue. It'll travel right up your legs and up into your mouth. So
okay,
but
most
really
oils you don't want to put directly on your skin, right?
What did you say?
Most oils you don't want to put directly on your skin?
Well, it depends. If you've got therapeutic grade oils that are pure, there's generally not a problem with any essential oil. Now, if you're putting synthetic oils on your skin, it's another matter. Or oils that have been diluted or extended with petrochemicals like a lot of the cheaper oils are. They're not pure. But a pure therapeutic grade oil is perfectly safe on your skin, unless, well, it depends on where now. You don't put it on your face, which is very sensitive, or you don't put it on your forearms, which are sensitive, or the backs of your hands. But generally speaking, you can put any oil on the soles of your feet. They're pretty tough, and that's a good place to put the oils. If you're using lesser grades of oil, then you may want to put that with a mixer like some fatty oil, like walnut or olive oil. But pure essential grade therapeutic oils, no problem. Just put them right on there. And
so I guess the reason it can travel from your toe to your tongue, the molecules, I guess, are so small. I was reading that there's approximately 40 million trillion molecules in one drop of essential oil.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know who counted them, but that's what they say.
I know. I'm wondering. That's a lot because I guess that works out to approximately 40,000 molecules for each cell in the average human body.
Yeah, that's right. So that you don't need much. These are very powerful. And there's enough molecules in a drop to usually do the job.
Yeah, so just a drop or two. So just because, I think the tendency is people might think, oh, well, this worked great, so I'm going to use 20 drops this time. But more isn't necessarily better, is it?
No, in fact, one molecule on a cell can change that cell's behavior. And there's a time to use a lot of oil, and there's a time not to. If you're just simply trying to influence your cells to produce a balance of hormones or to behave in a proper way, then just a few molecules per cell are enough, so a little bit is better. And if you use too much, you get receptor side overload on the cells, and they won't work as well. But if you're fighting a virus or a bacteria that's invaded your body, then you got to fight an army with an army.
Hold that right there, Dr. Stewart. It's that time again. We will be right back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. If you have any questions or comments tonight, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. That's 402-AFR-2525. And if you'd like to join us in the text chat, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. The chemistry of essential oils tonight with Dr. David Stewart. RaindropTraining.com is the website. Check it out for care training. That is the Center for Aromatherapy Research and Education. He's literally teaching all over the country, so no excuse to miss him. 17 books and DVDs, and teach you anything you need to know. Also, our friend in Italy wanted to make sure that we tell you tonight how much he appreciates your books and all of your information, and kind of set him and his lovely family off on a new path and interest in essential oils. So I thank you for that. Let me ask you this, or I think we should talk about this, though. Essential oils, we're kind of talking about medical or emotional or perhaps even spiritual health, but there's so many other uses as well, such as in the household, cleaning or for your pets and such. In fact, when you really learn to use oils, there's no need to use any of those chemical products anymore. Uh-oh, Dr. Stewart, are you there? Uh-oh. Okay, who did we lose? All right, it looks like I'm here. I've made it a whole show and a half in a row, too. Oh. This is great. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Okay, good.
All right, we're doing it. Okay, yeah, just for household products and such. Did you get to hear me?
Yeah, I didn't miss anything.
Okay, good. Because they don't just smell lovely. They're not just, good for your body. You can use them in your house, replace all of those household products and such.
Yeah, one of the most hazardous things that people expose themselves to are household cleaners. Mm-hmm. Things that you clean your bathroom and your sink and your floor and things around the house for your car and the garage and things like that. And the beauty of the essential oils is there are products, household cleaning products made with them that are just as effective and even more so against killing bacteria and germs and the things that we're trying to combat. But they're not only harmless to us, they're beneficial to us. And so many people end up with asthma and lung problems and other problems just by breathing household cleaners. Mm-hmm. Whereas they could be using cleaners made with these oils and be healing themselves instead of making themselves sick.
Mm-hmm. Well, someone's on the text chat here is talking about how they drink their essential oils, and so I'm like, you know what, I do too. I put a little drop of peppermint in my water, and it's a great pick-me-up, and that's right when you said asthma, because as a child, oh my gosh, I was on drugs, always in the hospital, the inhalers, the steroids, everything, and nobody thought, let's try something natural, because that was just like kookery, witch doctor type stuff. But my asthma went away. A little bit of peppermint oil. And speaking of cleaners, it's an awesome cleanser, and it works for your carpet too, I promise. Yeah. Even with really rich black soil from Michigan.
Yeah, that's true. And then another thing these oils can do is many people have chronic sicknesses. They always have a sore throat, or they have headaches, and they have little things that bother them all the time, every day, and the problem is mold in their house, and they don't even realize that it's their house is the problem. They may go away for a week on a vacation or a trip, and all their symptoms disappear. Then they come home, and the symptoms come back. And there's a blend of oils that are useful for combating mold that is more effective than any known chemical way to deal with the mold. And it's beneficial to us and not toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can even solve things like mold in your house, which a lot of people have that problem and don't even recognize it.
Mm-hmm. What oils would you recommend if there is a mold issue in your home?
Well, the one that's been found most effective is a blend. It's got 5 oils in it. It's got clove, cinnamon, lemon, eucalyptus, and rosemary.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that blend's got a name. It's called Thieves Blend. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got an interesting history if we have time to tell it.
Yeah, let's do.
Well, it turns out that there's a bacteria that invades us from time to time and causes plagues. It's always the same. It's the Bubonic Plague. Even in the Bible, in the second book of Samuel, and the book of Numbers describes 2 different cases of the Bubonic Plague. And it's a little disease carried by bacteria that live with fleas, and the fleas live on mice and rats. So when you have a lot of mice and rats around, and generally speaking, you're asking for the plague to come back. And this has happened periodically over the centuries. The worst case in Europe was in 1347 to 50,
Mm-hmm.
where a quarter of the population of Europe died from the bubonic plague.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this plague comes back periodically, and there's a story that keeps recurring, and that is there appear to be people who are immune to the plague, who become robbers and thieves. People are afraid to touch a dead body or to go into a home of somebody that has died from the plague. So these thieves are able to take the jewelry from these dead bodies, rob the graves of these people that have died of the plague, and they're immune to the plague. Well, in at least one instance, and probably several, these people were captured by the authorities. And in one case, the king made an offer to the thieves. He says, okay, if you'll tell me how you can be immune to this plague, what's your secret, we're going to execute you anyway because you're a criminal, but we'll do less painfully if you will tell us your secret. That was the deal. So they told their secret. And what it was is that when the plague wasn't around, their normal means of business was that they were perfumers and spice traders, and they dealt in essential oils.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't understand how they worked or the germ theory or anything, but they did know that if they put these oils on their bodies and they would make masks to breathe through the oils, that they wouldn't get sick. And in fact, one of the ways they applied the oils is they'd put them in vinegar and shake them up real good and then kind of wash their whole bodies down with that spicy vinegar. And then they would put the herbs and the resins in a mask and breathe through them. And it did protect them. So that blend was discovered and in the historical archives, and it's called Thieves, in honor of the thieves that put it together.
In honor of the thieves.
Well, they gave their life for what they did, so there's some credit.
So, okay. I thought lavender, though, wasn't there an entire town that was plague-free because they grew lavender there?
Yeah, the places the communities where they processed the herbs and oils were disease-free.
Mm-hmm.
And the people were around them all the time, and they thought it was a magical thing, but it was really the oils.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, in the late 1700s, another incident of the plague struck Europe in France, and at that point, the physicians of France had heard about the thieves' oil and their vinegar and their herbs, so they copied them. They washed their bodies with the vinegar containing the oils and put on the hoods and the masks, and then they could then deal with their patients without fear of catching the plague. So for a while, the medical profession itself was using these.
Mm-hmm. And, well, I guess they still are in Europe, at least somewhat, but we kind of haven't caught up with them yet, huh?
Yeah, in France, there's a number of medical doctors that will use and do use the oils, and some of our world experts on the oils are French physicians today. Mm-hmm. But I don't really know any other place where the medical profession has taken to the oils like in France.
Mm-hmm. Not yet, anyways.
No,
but we don't need them to switch. We can do it. And that's what's so great about it. Get a couple good books. Take a couple classes, raindroptraining.com, and be your own doctor. Ooh, what a novel idea, huh?
Well, you can certainly save a lot of doctor bills and be a lot healthier.
Yes, and lots of pain, and probably add a few years to your life, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's right. Well, you learn how to take care of yourself, and I think that's what God's plan was. He provided these oils for us. You know, God gave everybody 3 healing gifts if we only knew how to use them. That's what my last book is about, healing God's forgotten gift. Mm-hmm. And the gifts that He gave each one of us that we just need to learn how to use is that, first of all, He gave us hands. And God's power and energy flows right through our fingers. So when we lay our hands on a person to be healed, God's power is there. He gave us these hands for that purpose. He also gave us a heart and a mind where we can pray and tune directly into His will and bring His power to earth in that manner. And then He created these oils especially for healing, which then He leaves it up to us to discover them and learn about them and how to use them. So if you lay your hands on a person and anoint them with oils and pray, that triple combination is potentially able to heal any disease. Mm-hmm. Now it's a little more to it than that, and there's a little training involved, which is what my new book is about. Mm-hmm. But it's really teaching people to use what we already have. Mm-hmm. We already have the gifts. We just have, you could be potentially a great piano player, but if you don't take some lessons and practice, it'll never show. Mm-hmm. And
or have a piano.
Yeah, you better have a piano. That's right.
You got to get the oil in the book, right?
That's right, the piano and the oils. And but we're all capable of these things, and it's not like a gift that wasn't given to us. It was given to us, but it was given to us in a raw form, and then we have to develop it.
How do you think they came up with these oils? I mean, healing oils of the Bibles, and of course you talk about biblical history and such. How did they come up with this? Like, oh, that's a pretty plant. I think I'm just going to squish it up and, go heal the world. Do we know how it came about?
Well, we really don't, because they go back to prehistory, in which time there were no written records. But we do know they had capability of distilling oils and were using them way back 2000 BC. And how they came up with that, I don't know, except they must have realized these plants, even without distilling the oils and concentrating them, had healing powers, and then somebody ingeniously thought, well, let's try putting steam through them or something. I don't know.
They were probably eating... Or eating the whole plant, or bathing in them, and...
Well, I think I know the secret, though, what it really is. If you talk to the great botanists like, what's his name? Luther Burbank, or you talk to George Washington Carver, these people have made fantastic discoveries of the capabilities of plants by talking to the plants and listening. Mm-hmm. And the plants talk back, and they got messages from the plants. And really, a sensitive person can do that. And even the Bible suggests it. In the book of Job, it says, speak to the earth, talk to the plants, and they will teach you. Mm-hmm. And so the people that I know that are very good at this, they talk to the plants, and the plants communicate. So I think God put it right there in front of us.
Absolutely. All right, hold that right there, Dr. Stewart. It's that time, but we will be right back after this short break. Welcome back. Truth Brigade Radio. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. My goodness, Dr. Stewart, it is the last segment already. My, how time flies when you're having fun. If you would, Dr. Stewart, since we're just about out of time here, tell us a little bit about CARE and, of course, your events speaking literally all over the country and beyond.
Okay. Well, CARE stands for the Center for Aromatherapy Research and Education. The acronym is CARE. And we have about 50 trained, certified instructors who teach and live throughout the United States and Canada and now starting in other countries like England and Malaysia and other places. And we offer a 4-day seminar or 3.5-day seminar where in 25 hours, you will be trained in Vitaflex, which is a valuable technique of using oils with a massage. Raindrop technique, which is an incredible, miraculous technique for healing many ailments. And then you will learn about the Bible applications of the oils, as well as the chemistry. We spent about 6 hours on the chemistry of the oils, and that's taught in a way that nobody has to ever have had any chemistry at all. In fact, you can read my book with no chemistry background whatsoever, and you'll learn the science of the oils. And then we spend the whole afternoon on the emotional releasing aspects of the oils and how to apply those to get to your buried issues that you may have forgotten about, but which are actually producing sickness in you today, maybe diabetes and things like that, and how to release that and heal yourself. So that's what we do. We call these care intensives. They're 25 hours long each over 3 or 4 days, and we offer about 120 of those, or maybe 150 at a year's time, all over the world, or and in some cases just a few of the classes out of that. If you go to raindroptraining.com, you go to the calendar, you can see where these classes are being offered, and we put new ones on the calendar almost every week. So if you don't find one in your area now, check in a month, and maybe we've got one booked there, or you can request, and one of the teachers may organize a class in your area. And
I just found out that you're coming to Branson, Missouri in November. I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I mean, there's Colorado, Virginia, Michigan, New York, Texas. I said Virginia. I see you're also up in Ontario, in Canada.
Yep.
Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, New Jersey. I mean, you're literally everywhere.
Yeah, I'm really pleased to see how that's working out. There should be a class not too far from wherever you live if you wait long enough or keep an eye on the calendar.
North Carolina, Indiana, looking at some more here, Oregon, so coast to coast and everywhere in between, Idaho. Now, how long are the care classes?
Well, generally they will last all like from 8 or 9 in the morning till 5 or 6 in the evening for 3 or 4 days. And they are not all organized in the same way. Some teachers will concentrate in a shorter period of time to put in the 25 hours of training, and others we like to spread it out and relax. But I've been all over the world. I've been in 8 countries teaching in the last 10 months. I've been in Austria and England and Romania, Iceland, Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, Japan. Teaching these classes.
And how many of the seminars or classes do you need to take to become certified?
Well, the certification program is described in a little 106-page book. It's not a simple answer to that question, but you start by simply taking the care classes. And 90% of people just take the classes for the information. They don't intend to go on to be a certified instructor. But we have several levels of certification. If you want to practice Raindrop and you want to be legal throughout anywhere in North America, there's a program for that, and we have it, and you become a certified Raindrop practitioner and a licensed spiritual healer, and you can be legal everywhere. But if you want to teach for care and become a care instructor, there's another additional set of requirements for that certification. But that's all described in the book called the CCI Handbook. That's Certified Care Instructor's Handbook. And if you go to raindroptraining.com, that website, you can order one of those books. It tells you all the details of what you need to do to become whatever you want.
Okay, I'm looking here. It says CARE's complete certification program consists of 23 requirements, 164 hours of training and testing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you're eligible to become certified, and well, if you pass the tests, right?
Yeah, and then you teach for CARE, and your students get CARE credit, and they can become certified. So it's actually Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please. Well, we teach on 3 levels. We teach people to learn the skills, and then we teach people to teach the skills, and then we train people to train others to teach the skills, teachers to teach teachers. And so the idea is a self-replicating educational system which should go on and reach millions of people.
Excellent. Absolutely. Dr. Stewart, my goodness, that went by quick. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for your time and for going literally all over the world and teaching thousands and millions of people these God's forgotten gifts. And that is your latest book, Healing God's Forgotten Gift. You can find at raindroptraining.com or find out about the certification. Thank you so very much, Dr. Stewart, and thank you all for being here tonight. Abundant blessings and love to all. We will see you tomorrow night here on Truth.